All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Let's just check out what we should be looking at this week, or let's just review some of the stuff that's going on. Excuse me. All right. Anyway, I know we're going to get to NVIDIA, so just hang around. Let me give you my thoughts on NVIDIA. But it just so happens that the last thing I was looking at was Bitcoin. And we're going to check that out now, just for a minute or two. Just think it's important to point out that it's in this range, okay? In the technical analysis world, this would be called a rectangle, classic rectangle pattern. Now, a lot of times in the technical analysis world, people don't really understand what these patterns mean. They might say, like, oh, there's a pattern on the chart, or there's this, or there's that, there's a wedge, there's a triangle, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Who the hell cares? It doesn't matter what the names are. You know what a rectangle is? It's a trading range. Markets are about supply and demand. Okay, if there's more supply than demand, what happens? It pushes the market down. If there's more demand than supply, what happens? It pushes the market up. Demand is buyers, supply is sellers. So we have this move up here, okay, which started, I don't know, February 5th. Big move, okay? Why did this happen? Well, the market was out of equilibrium. There was more demand than supply. If the buyers wanted to buy Bitcoin, they had no choice but to bid a premium. In other words, maybe the last trade was at 47,000 or whatever. And maybe to buy more, they got to pay 47,200. They got to pay. Now, when you get to a trading range, the forces of supply and demand become equalized. The market's in equilibrium. Supply and demand are equal. It just trades sideways. This is all a rectangle is, everybody. It's just a trading range. Now, eventually, like every other thing in the history of Wall Street, okay, this will break out one way or the other. Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? I don't know. My friends make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you're a trader." Oh, well, you be like, "Oh, it might go up, it might go down." Well, guess what? That's just traders. That's what we do. We don't want to get an opinion. If we think it's going to go up, or we tell all our friends, "Oh, it's going to go up," well, there might be some signs it's going to go down. And due to confirmation bias and our psychology, that might make us ignore things that are contrary to our opinion. The best short-term traders that I've known in my career, and believe me, I've known literally some of the best in the world. I mean, I don't want to name drop or whatever, but just check out my bio. So I've been around the block a few times, but we got to be agnostic, right? Like it's like this has come to a fork in the road. Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? I don't know. But once it starts going that way, I will think it's going to continue. And that's where I take my position. Okay, next up, let's talk about Bitcoin and let's talk about this bubble. Blah, blah, bubble, blah, blah, blah. Do I think Bitcoin is in a bubble? I don't think there's any freaking doubt about it. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my God. Excuse me. Sorry, it's a Sunday night. We're going to look at NVIDIA. Yes. Sorry, just getting a little carried away over here in my little place here in Connecticut. Well, let me know where you guys are. Sometimes we get people from like literally the other side of the world. It always kind of amazes me. All right, NVIDIA bubble. Yeah, I think so. When everyone and their grandmother is talking about, oh, are we in a bubble? Yeah, we are. Because what happens is the market runs out of buyers. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, NVIDIA is not like another bubble. It has good earnings. There's this huge AI market. Frankly, in the long run, the companies that will probably make out and the stocks will outperform in the long run are the companies that NVIDIA's technology helps. Who the hell knows? Could be a trucking company, industrial company. But anyway, it doesn't matter what a company earns. It doesn't matter what the future prospects are. Markets are supply and demand. And if there's no more demand, if everyone who wants to own NVIDIA owns it, the only way it can go is down. Let's put this in simpler terms. I'm old enough to remember Cabbage Patch Kids, which is probably one of the dumbest things in the history of whatever. There's also the Beanie Babies. Bubbles always have the same traits. And one of the things people are always saying is this time it's different. When someone says this time is different, it's time to pay attention because whenever someone says this time is different, they're wrong. And that marks the peak of the market. For example, I was around in the internet bubble. Guess what happened? Well, it's like, oh, well, we don't need to value companies on how much money they make. We're going to value them based on how many clicks they get on their website. These are new error stocks. Old error stocks like whatever, I don't know, Union Pacific, blah, blah, blah. We need to value them on their earnings. Well, these new stocks, doesn't matter. This time is different. We don't need to value them based on how much money they make. We're going to be like, oh, how many emails do they get every day? What happened? The market blew up. Believe it or not, back in the 1920s, right before the market blew up, they're the same thing. But they call them old economy stocks and new economy stocks. Oh, railroad, old economy. We have to judge them by how much money they make. New economy stock, airplanes, radios. Oh, I don't care if the radio company makes money. We're going to value it based on how many people can listen to it within their geographic area. Nothing changes. History repeats itself. So I don't care what the future prospects are of NVIDIA. I'm a short-term trader. I mean, I hope it works out. Well, I don't know where the stock is going to be in 6 months or a year. I don't think anyone does. But I will tell you this. If the market runs out of buyers, there's no one left to push the price higher. Let's go back to the Cabbage Patch Kids, okay? So say Cabbage Patch Kids are trading for $1,000. And let's say everyone in the world who wants to own a Cabbage Patch Kid has one. Well, the price can't go up. You need buyers to push the price higher. And eventually, someone who owns a Cabbage Patch Kid is going to say, hey, this stupid freaking doll is ugly. Why the hell did I ever buy this thing in the first place? I'm going to sell it. Guess what? They're going to have a hard time finding sellers because, they're going to have a hard time finding buyers because the buyers are done. They've filled up. They've satiated their appetites. So someone might say, the last trade on the Cabbage Patch Kid here was $1,000. Buy your Cabbage Patch Kid from me. I don't care how ugly it is, but I'll tell you what, I'm only going to pay you $900. Maybe someone else is freaking out too. Well, there are people in bubbles. There are always. Someone else is going to be like, dude, I'll sell you my Cabbage Patch Kid at $850. Forget this guy who wants to pay you $900. So forth and so on. It starts this cascading effect. So if you're a short-term trader, which is what most of my students are, we have long-term buy and hold people. We have value people. Anyone who's interested in the market or investing is welcome as a student. The only thing I don't like is this. Don't want to be told what to do, and don't come in here trying to prove other people being wrong. This is a school, okay? It's to learn. The best learning comes from an interaction of ideas. So those are two things to focus on. Before I go here, let me really quick just point out a couple other things. I'm going to just show you Apple. Back to this important 180, 135 level. If this breaks, this is going to be weak for it. This is going, despite NVIDIA, Apple is still a much bigger company. So it's going to have a lot of ways, it's going to have a bigger influence on the market. So if this support breaks, it's going to pull down the sector, and that's going to put some pressure on NVIDIA. So you might even get your signals from NVIDIA in watching the chart of Apple. All right. If you look at the sectors, here's a tech sector, right? NVIDIA is 7% roughly. Apple is 20. Microsoft is still 23. So whatever these guys do in some way, shape, or form is going to influence what NVIDIA does. All right, please come back because we're going to be checking this stuff out pretty much continuously. The market's an ongoing narrative, and we're there pretty much all the time. Thanks, everyone. I will see you soon.